Imagine a man who has everything: talent, charm, a mind like a lightning storm. But his life is a graveyard of half-finished projects and almost successes. He's the genius in the coffee shop whose masterpiece never leaves the napkin. He's the lover who is intoxicatingly present until the moment things get real, and then he vanishes like smoke. Carl Jung called him the Puer Aeternus, the eternal boy. He isn't just a man who refuses to grow up. He's a man who views responsibility as a death sentence and reality as a cage. Today, we are looking into the haunting psychology of the man-child, the secret wounds that keep him stuck in Neverland, and the terrifying price of staying a boy forever.
He's the man who lives his life in draft mode. You've seen him. Perhaps you've even loved him. Or perhaps you see him looking back at you in the mirror. He is the Puer Aeternus, an archetype buried deep within the male psyche, characterized by a soul that is fundamentally allergic to limitation. To the Puer, potential is a drug, and commitment is the come-down. He is obsessed with what could be, because the second he touches what is, the fantasy shatters. He treats life like a rehearsal for a show that never actually opens. This man is often the brightest light in a room, radiating an energy that suggests he is on the verge of something monumental. Yet years pass, and the monument remains a blueprint, yellowing at the edges.
But why? Why does a man with so much brilliance choose to float above the earth rather than walk upon it? Jung suggested that this isn't about laziness or a lack of intelligence. It's a spiritual and psychological paralysis. To the eternal boy, making a choice feels like a small murder. If he chooses one career, he kills the fantasy of being 1,000 other things. If he commits to one woman, he kills the dream of the perfect, idealized muse. So he stays in motion, chasing excitement and spontaneity, not out of a sense of adventure, but out of a desperate need for self-preservation. He isn't running toward freedom, he is running away from the death of being ordinary. The ordinary world requires work, and work requires the sacrifice of the ego's omnipotence. To the Puer, being just a guy with a mortgage and a schedule feels like an existential execution. To understand the man-child, we have to look at the architecture of his childhood, where the walls were built either too thick or not at all. Often, he is the product of a smother mother, or an overprotective environment where every failure was cushioned and every discomfort removed. This is the devouring mother archetype, a love so all-encompassing that it swallows the child's autonomy. He was praised for his potential, but never challenged to produce results. In this golden cage, the world outside becomes a terrifying monster, not because it's cruel, but because it's unfamiliar with his specialness. He enters adulthood without the calluses required to handle the friction of reality. He expects the world to applaud him for merely existing, just as his mother did, and when the world remains indifferent, he retreats into bitterness. Then there is the shadow side, the emotionally neglected boy. This child wasn't smothered, he was invisible. Left to raise himself amidst emotional absence or trauma, he retreated into the only safe place he had, his imagination. His dreams became a fortress, a sanctuary where no one could reject or abandon him. He created an internal world where he was king, hero, and god, because the external world offered him no seat at the table. Whether over-pampered or ignored, both versions of this boy miss the essential rite of passage into manhood. They never learn to anchor their spirit in structure. To them, adulthood isn't a destination, it's a synonym for betrayal, abandonment, and the death of the soul. They view the father not as a guide, but as a tyrant who wants to clip their wings. This creates a magnetic but hollow persona. The Puer is often the most charming person in the room, passionate, romantic, and vibrantly alive. He has access to a creative fire that other men lost long ago. He speaks of philosophy, art, and grand designs with a fervor that is contagious. But the closer you get, the more the floor drops out. One week he's starting a revolution. The next he's lost in a haze of video games, substance use, and avoidance. You tell yourself he just needs time or the right break, but time is his enemy, not his healer. As Jung famously noted, the pure cannot age, not because he is youthful, but because he cannot face the sun of reality without melting. He is like Icarus, forever flying towards a sun of his own making, terrified that if he lands, he will discover he is nothing more than a mortal man. The pure lives in a state of provisional life. This is the psychological state of not yet. I will start my business when I have more capital. I will marry her when I feel completely settled. I will write my book when the inspiration is perfect.
But when never comes. The pure's greatest fear is being pinned down. He avoids any situation that might prove he is mediocre. By never truly trying, he can maintain the delusion that he could have been the greatest if only he had bothered to participate. This is the ultimate defense mechanism, the refusal to compete so that he can never technically lose. He remains the king of a kingdom that doesn't exist, ruling over ghosts and echoes. The tragedy of the man-child is that he isn't malicious, he's incomplete. He builds a castle of dreams to protect a fragile, brilliant inner child that was never taught how to breathe in the open air. He escapes through art, philosophy, or digital worlds, anything to avoid the stillness where he might hear his own soul crying out, asking why nobody prepared him for the weight of being real. He often suffers from a deep underlying depression that he masks with manic bursts of creativity or social butterfly behavior. But eventually, the clock catches up. The gray hairs appear. The friends move on to build families and legacies, and the pure finds himself alone in a room full of relics from his potential. He wakes up surrounded by half-finished projects and broken promises, realizing that potential is no longer a compliment, it's a badge of shame.
This is the psychological cliff. From here, a man either doubles down on his cynicism, blaming the world for not recognizing his genius, or he does the hardest thing imaginable. He stops running. He must realize that the cage of responsibility is actually the only thing that can save him from drifting into nothingness. Without a container, water simply evaporates. Without a vessel, the spirit of the pure simply dissipates into the ether. To leave Neverland, you must grieve. You have to mourn the innocence that was stolen and the years lost to avoidance. You have to accept that you are not special in the way your ego told you. You are human, and that is enough. Healing isn't just a change in behavior, it's a reckoning. It's about building an inner father, a part of the psyche that provides the structure, discipline, and protection the boy never had. This means doing the boring things. It means showing up to work when you don't feel inspired. It means staying in a relationship when the honeymoon phase ends and the hard work of partnership begins. It means realizing that limitations are not walls, but the very tools we use to carve a life out of the raw stone of existence. The poor must learn to love the grind, not because it is glamorous, but because it is the only way to manifest his internal light into the physical world. Jung believed the goal wasn't to kill the boy, but to integrate him. The Puer possesses a divine child energy, a sense of wonder, play, and possibility that the world desperately needs. When the dreamer becomes the builder, he doesn't lose his magic, he finally gives it a home. He becomes the man who can dream big, but also hammer the nails. He learns that commitment isn't a cage, it's the soil in which a meaningful life actually grows. Maturity isn't about becoming boring, it's about becoming solid. It's the shift from a flickering spark that dies in the wind to a steady flame that warms a house. To the man-child listening, the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need your potential anymore. It needs your presence. It needs you to take the napkin out of your pocket, put down the pen, and start building something that can survive the rain. Stop looking for the perfect moment, because the only moment that exists is the one where you finally decide to grow up. The door to Neverland is always open, but the real world is where the magic actually happens. It's time to show up, stay in the room, and finally dare to become who you already are. It is time to trade your wings for roots, and in doing so, finally find the strength to stand.